Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about gun restrictions and mental health. I'm going to tell you about some of the people behind the guns in the rampage shootings. I will also discuss the plans President Obama has proposed to keep our communities and our children safer without taking away our rights to bear arms. I want you to imagine that you are in your vehicle. You've just picked your children up from school and you're heading to the store, and just as you go to exit onto the highway, a car cuts you off, and out of frustration you make a gesture towards the other driver and call him an idiot. The other driver utters something back at you, and that's when you notice he has a gun. As you step on the gas to get out of the line of fire, shots ring out and hit your vehicle. The next thing you hear is one of your children crying and saying she's bleeding. On Tuesday, October 20th, this story rang true for Alan Garcia. According to an article from CNN, court papers detail road rage that killed 4-year-old New Mexico girl. Garcia had just picked his children up from school. 4-year-old Lily was sitting in the back seat with her brother, 7-year-old Isaac. Garcia said he was attempting to exit onto Interstate 40 when a car cut him off and was obstructing 2 lanes. Garcia said he made a gesture towards the driver, now known as Tony D. Torres, and called him an idiot. Torres uttered something back at Garcia and then opened fire, shooting Garcia's truck 4 times. One of the shots hit 4-year-old Lily Garcia, ultimately taking her life. Had there been tighter restrictions and mental health issues could be reported easier on background checks, Torres may never have had the opportunity to pull a weapon in the heat of the moment. I'm going to talk about our Constitution, our rights, and the heated debate on gun control. I'm going to discuss mental health and rampage killings that have been taking place this year alone. I will also tell you about the role our president takes part in to help protect our communities from losing loved ones. Let's begin with the Constitution. The Constitution states, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and support the general blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America." Our Second Amendment, all well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The right to bear arms controversy has reached the highest courts in the nation twice. The first time was in 2008, the Supreme Court case District of Columbia versus Heller. The court ruled that the Constitution protected the right to own a gun for personal use. The 4-5 decision had only applied to federal law and failed to address local and state laws. So in July of 2010, the Supreme Court ruled the right to bear arms applied to local and state levels as well. Just 2 years later, after the Supreme Court's ruling, the nation was mourning. In December of 2012, Adam Lorenza entered Sandy Hook Elementary and in an 11-minute rampage killed 20 first graders, 6 adults, and then himself. On July 17 in Charleston, South Carolina, Dylan Roof entered Emmanuel Church, shot and killed 9 people. July 23, 2015, Lafayette, Louisiana. John Hauser entered a movie theater, opened fire, killing 2 and injured 9 more before taking his own life. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, a gunman killed 4 Marines at a recruiting facility in July of 2015. The CQ researcher in-depth reports on today's issues. The article, "Should Lawmakers Tighten Firearm Restrictions?" states that Wayne LaPierre, the executive vice president for the NRA, or the National Rifle Association, who is the leading gun rights organization, says, "The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But what happens when it's the good guy that snaps and kills?" In Texas at Fort Hood, Major Hanson was supposed to be the good guy. Instead, he planned an attack that stole 13 lives and wounded 32 people. Mental illness is a big factor that contributes to gun violence. Each shooter that I have mentioned had a distorted view of themselves and the world around them. Take Adam Lorenza, for example. He was a troubled young man, withdrawn, depressed, and obsessed with death. Adam's mother, Nancy, had sought out help for Adam over the years, but the older Adam got, the more isolated he had become. Then the day of the rampage, he shot his own mother, killing her, loaded up with ammo, and set out for Sandy Hook Elementary. How could we have seen this before it was too late? According to the American Journal of Psychiatry, a person with a mental illness is 4 times more likely to be convicted of a violent crime than the average person. Van Doren and Johnson 2012 state that people with a mental illness who are inclined to be dangerous often do not seek treatment before doing something harmful. Therefore, when these people go to buy a gun, there is nothing that comes on a background check that shows disqualifications due to a mental illness. According to federal law, an individual may purchase a long gun at age 18, a handgun at 21. I brought some along to demonstrate what they look like. This would be a long gun. As with this one. These you can purchase and have at the age of 18. This one is a handgun. You have to be 21 years of age to be able to have one of these or to purchase one of these. Here's another one. Now these are just replicas of weapons to demonstrate. This is a black powdered gun, and you also have to be 21 years of age to have this one because it is considered a handgun. Now for each state, they have their own regulations to carry and transport guns, and for Iowa you must be 21. But by federal law, each state must go by these disqualifications. You may not purchase a firearm or own a firearm if you are under indictment for a crime punishable for more than a year, if you are a felon, if you are a fugitive, or if you have ever been convicted of domestic abuse, if you are an illegal alien, or anyone who renounces U.S. citizenship, a substance abuse user of an illegal substance, have a restraining order against them for an intimate partner or partner's children, or if anyone has been committed to a mental institution or deemed mentally defective. But even with the restrictions, USA gun violence statistics estimate 283 guns are in civilian hands. Every year, 2 million of those guns are sold secondhand. More than 30,000 people are killed by firearms each year, and 30 people are shot and murdered each day. The Journal of Trauma, Injury, Infection, and Critical Care says for every time a gun injures or kills, it is used 11 times to complete or attempt a suicide, 7 times in criminal assault or homicide, and 4 times in an unintentional shooting, death, or injury. The medical costs in the U.S. for gunshot injuries total an estimated $2.3 billion a year, and the taxpayers pay almost half of a lifetime of medical costs for gunshot injuries. So what is our president doing? President Obama has a plan to provide protection for our children and our communities by reducing gun violence. The 15-page document outlined the president's objectives with 32 executive actions. To just name a few, President Obama wants to ban assault weapons, and magazines are capped at 10 rounds. He wants background checks strengthened, ultimately cutting through the red tape of the Health Insurance Probability and Accountability Act, so that each state can freely share mental health disqualifications. Obama wants to make it easier for schools, mental health professionals, and health providers to report someone who may be a potential risk. He also wants some training for school officials, police officers, military, for active shootings, so they may protect others. Finally, he wants to get rid of the loopholes with gun trafficking and make the laws stricter. But according to a survey from the NRA, 52% of Americans for the first time are more interested in protecting the right to bear arms versus gun control. Facts may be stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclination, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts or evidence. This was spoken by John Adams in defense of the British soldiers on trial for the Boston Massacre in December 4th of 1770. There have been many tragedies due to gun violence this year alone, and we know there is a hole in the mental health that needs fixed. We also know if we, the people, are more worried about our right to bear arms instead of the welfare of this great country, then we will indeed see more death. I'm going to leave you with this thought. Lily Garcia, 20 first graders, 6 adults, 4 Marines, along with others killed because of the gun violence just in this year alone. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, said, "We are going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of our political views."